Again, my name is Alex, and if you're new to the Gold program, you might not have heard of me, but I work for Jack, and for the past 8 years or so, mainly doing marketing and things like that. And today I want to talk to you about Craigslist and eBay and how we use it to sell property, mainly land, but also when you're doing the flip it fast and you're looking for investors, we also use Craigslist as well. So I'm going to tell you some tips and tricks to how we do things that will help you out when you're trying to get that first deal or do more deals. So let's get started here. As always, if you have any other support questions outside of these gold calls, you want to go to jackboschsupport.com or forevercashsupport.com and enter in your question there. If for any reason you don't hear a reply during business hours, let's say 48 business hours, so the next day or so, typically we get to them within the same day. But if it's during the regular business hours, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and you don't hear a response by the next day, go ahead and submit us another question and let us know to give you a call and put in your phone number. We just want to make sure that every question that gets submitted there gets an answer, and if for some reason you don't get an email reply back, it might have got caught in your spam folder or your bulk folder or whatever it may be, and we want to make sure we give you a call and answer your questions. So, but I think at the end of this presentation today, at the end of this training call, we'll take some questions about what we talk about today too, as well. And let me just go through the questions right now real quick, just to make sure we're all good to go. All right. So if you haven't got your tickets for the seminar yet, I just want to throw this out there. We still, I think, have a few tickets available. If not, go to this page. The best way is just go to this page, jackbosch.com/gold seminar tickets, and see if we have tickets. Then you can still register them. If not, it'll have a sold out sign there. So I think as of now, you can still register some if you haven't yet. Go and do that. I'll be at that conference in Orlando, and it's going to be at the end of the month, January 23rd through the 25th. So it's going to be a great event. We're going to cover all kinds of stuff, buying and selling a property. All the techniques that Jack teaches are going to be covered in this seminar in 3 days. So it's going to be a great event. All right, so let's get into what we're going to cover today. So first, I want to kind of give you a summary of what we're going to cover. I'm going to talk about Craigslist first and some recent changes that they've done, some restrictions, and how to get around them. What happens when you break a rule on Craigslist? That's always good to know. And the two types of listing strategies we use on Craigslist, or that you can use when selling property or marketing your property. There's the quick sale method, which is Craigslist is great for just, especially if it's your first deal and you just want to get that quick sale so that you can do your first deal and then get some of the more advanced strategies. Craigslist is great for that. So we'll cover how to just get your listing up quickly and get it out there and seen and get your property sold. And then we'll cover the other strategy, which is more advanced. Maybe when you've done already a few deals and you want to start building up your buyers list. There's some ways to do that on Craigslist as well. So we're going to cover that. We're going to cover how to keep your listings searchable, if that's a word, but so that actually when people go to Craigslist, they can find your listings, because that's very important. And we'll cover what it takes to do that. For eBay, I did previously an eBay call, I think about a month ago or so, for the gold program. So there is a pretty extensive, I think it was an hour and a half call, gold call about eBay, just eBay. And so I'm going to kind of lightly cover eBay because most of it was covered in a previous call. And that's something you have access to as a gold member. You can go into the gold site, log in there and look at call replays. And if you're wanting to do eBay, I would recommend that you go back and watch that replay, because it will cover a lot more than what we'll cover today as far as eBay goes. But we'll cover the three types of listing options that you can do on eBay. The cost, because there is a cost. It's not free like Craigslist Craigslist, and the 3 types of real estate listing templates that we use, because you within eBay you can create your own listings, and we use 3 different kinds. I'll briefly talk about that, and mainly I'm going to reference you over to the previous call that was done on that, because I don't want to. If you guys were, some of you guys were on that call a month ago, I don't want to do the same content, but we'll go through a little bit of this, and I'm also going to cover why you want to upload images. You want to upload them, but you also want to embed them into your listings, and so we'll cover that, and how to embed videos in your listings, and some campaign expectations that what you can expect on eBay when you list. But again, these 2, Craigslist and eBay, are 2 really great options to sell a property quickly. So these are kind of like your most easiest ways to go about selling a property. So here we go. Why use Craigslist and eBay? It's free. Well, Craigslist is free, and eBay is basically free. It's pretty cheap, and it's targeted. They both have people looking for real estate. They're actively searching for real estate, and in the case of Craigslist, they're local people looking for that particular area. And in the case of eBay, it actually opens up the market to people that are overseas. We've had people from out of the country buy property from us on eBay. So you really get exposure to people that are interested in the area that you have real estate in, but they could be living or located in an entire different country, and it doesn't really matter. It's a big marketplace. So it's also, both of these are very easy to list a property on these sites. So that's the reasons why we want to focus on that, especially in the beginning when you just want to do a deal. These are easy ways to do that first deal. When you get more advanced, you can use some of these advanced strategies that we'll also cover in this to start building your buyers list and whatnot. And that's gonna be where you're gonna sell most of your properties going forward. All right, so a lot of people did a lot of things on Craigslist, marketers and things, and even us, we put listings on Craigslist, and you could get away with a whole lot of stuff on Craigslist. So you could embed links in there, hyperlinks, and different color text, and just make it look all kind of crazy with images and stuff. And really, they didn't have much. They had restrictions like written down, rules and regulations that you should have followed, but people could get away with it, so people did. So recently, Craigslist has been cracking down, and they've been very good about catching stuff like this. So, and for instance, like nowadays, they only allow very basic HTML, so you can only like bold a few sentences and things like that. It's very basic. You can't add any hyperlinks, which are like clickable links going to your site. So that kind of strategy goes out the window if you want to use Craigslist as a lead magnet almost to get people to your website. They don't allow that anymore. They always really didn't allow it, but you could get away with it, like I said. So people did, but no longer. It's pretty. I mean, they pretty much take that out of your listing if you do try it, and you can't do any text color style changes. No CSS or anything. If you know what that means, it's basically you can't change the styling of Craigslist anymore. No embedded images, no embedded videos. You can still upload images as part of the listing, but you can't embed them into the description. They're pretty good about removing those tags out of that. You can't use excessive use of like punctuation and things, so you can't have like a bunch of exclamation marks on your titles to try to catch the eye of the user when they're scrolling through different listings. And also people used to use like these little HTML characters. I don't know if any of you have noticed that, but if you look on Craigslist, sometimes a lot of times you would see little ASCII characters like stars and things like that. They've really cracked down on that. And also, if you use cap locks for everything, if you're typing everything in cap locks, it does catch the attention of people browsing, but that's kind of a no-no nowadays. So they've been really cracking down on it. A lot of software that people were able to use, 2 years ago, that kind of were created to get around these regulations that they had in place before, but they didn't really enforce. A lot of the software, those types of software that you could use, a couple years ago, you can't use, or even up to a few months ago, they're no longer working. So I'm not saying that there isn't any software that doesn't work, but a lot of them that were there were tons of different options for software for Craigslist, and a lot of those are just out the window now with their recent changes. So they've also cracked down. This is their prohibited list on the right hand side there, the bullet point. But the ones that stand out that kind of affect real estate marketers or investors that are posting their properties on there, and kind of how we used to post properties is number one, they prohibit and they're enforcing the miscategorization. So for instance, if you had a property but it was in the middle of nowhere, to a certain extent you could get away with posting it in the nearest city or metropolitan area, because Craigslist only had limited categories anyway. So for example, here in Arizona, I mean, if we had a property in Sedona or something, we could probably post that, which Sedona is about an hour or two away from Phoenix, and we could probably post that in Phoenix and get away with that because they don't have a category for Sedona. But if you have a property in Phoenix and or Sedona, and you try to post it in New York City, just because or in California for that matter, to try to attract people that might be living in California but wanting to find property in Arizona, that's what they're cracking down on, is that miscategorization of a listing. So also overposting, and that's where a lot of these softwares, they're allowing you to post a lot of, or automate your posting, and they've really figured out how to crack down on that. Cross posting is basically when you're linking your posts together and try to drum up more traffic that way. So that's kind of a no-no these days. And non-local content. So again, that goes back to the miscategorization. Although miscategorization also means that let's say you have a property for sale, but you post it under jobs, and people actually did that, believe it or not. So you want to make sure that it's under real estate. And then the non-local content, that's more of the areas. Also, here again, kind of going back to the top there where the no hyperlinks comes in, they don't want you to be posting an ad just for the sole purpose of driving traffic to your website. Now, there are ways that you can still get away with this, and I'll show you kind of how, but and they haven't gotten so great about cracking down on this and finding it, but I'll show you how, what you want to be doing there in that case. And then again, linking is the same thing. You're linking to other content on the web. So that's kind of what the rules are. Now, I always like to find out what happens when you violate them, because a lot of people, when they have those rules, they read those rules, they're like, okay, well, we can't really do anything about that. But you can actually, you can still do that. You just got to understand what's going to happen if you do it. So here's how they kind of enforce it. Number one, users, just regular Craigslist users that go on there, they can flag your listing, and it's pretty easy for them to do. There's just a little flag on the top corner of your listing, and if a certain number of people flag you, Craigslist doesn't even look at it; they just take it down. So that's kind of user driven. And that used to be, back in the day, the only way they enforced a lot of this stuff. So it used to be if you could get away with the, if the end user or the end viewer liked your content enough, you could get away with it. But this has been now is just like one of many ways they check on it. They can also enforce it by they just terminate your account, and they were doing that for a while, and then they were also blocking your IP and email addresses that you might use. But again, when you were using those softwares and things like that, those softwares were pretty smart enough to figure out how to mask your IP address and set you up with a ton of email addresses, and they figured out that part of it to get around that, and so that wouldn't be a factor. But yeah, I mean, like your IP address, a lot of people were using proxies to upload stuff to get around that block. But at some point this year or so, Craigslist got they figured out that terminating people's accounts and blocking their IPs wasn't really doing anything because people were just setting up new ones and getting around it. So what they do now is they call it ghosting, or people call it ghosting. What they'll do is they'll keep your account, so everything on your end looks normal. Looks like you have a good standing account. You're posting your ads. They don't deny them. You might still get flagged and stuff from users, but all of a sudden, you're gonna see your responses from Craigslist go like down to nothing. And the reason is because even though they're making it appear on your account that everything is in good standing, they're actually ghosting your ads. They're not promoting your listings on the site, and they do that because they hope that you give up. Basically, if you are one of these people that use software and things like that, you start seeing your numbers go down. You're spending all this time and effort to post these ads, and you're not getting any responses. Then you're just going to give up and move on to some other network like eBay or something. So that's kind of their hope, is that they get rid of the people that are trying to game the system through this ghosting type thing. So one of the things is, if you do plan to kind of go around these rules and regulations, you definitely do want to set up like a bunch of Gmail addresses or a bunch of email addresses, and then set up a bunch of Craigslist accounts with different IPs and things. And that is because if they do ghost your account, and I'll show you how you can check on that, then basically you can just cancel that account or just not use that account anymore and go on to the next one. So if you were going to go down that road, that's what you would want to do, because you definitely don't want to use your main contact email address and everything like that and start playing around with going against their rules and regulations. So having said that, here's how you check if your account's been ghosted, because people that are using Craigslist, sometimes they say like, well, every now and again we'll get a question about that, like, hey, I was using Craigslist and it was great, and then now it's not. So what's the difference? And usually the reason is they've been ghosted. So if you're in your account, so the top part of this screen is like what it looks like in your account. You'll see all your listings that you're posting, and then they'll give you an ID number. If you copy that ID number and you do a search for it in Craigslist, so you would go to the front end of Craigslist and search for that listing. If it doesn't appear, then you've been ghosted. So pretty much any further, anytime you post another ad on your account, it's just gonna never see the light of day. So that's why you'll see your numbers drop to nothing after a while. So that's just something to be aware of. Having said all this, I don't want to scare anybody, because Craigslist is still really great, and that's why even with all these rules and regulations, and you can't use software or you shouldn't, and all this kind of stuff, it's still great because it's free. And like I said, it's people are looking for real estate. They're looking to buy land. They're looking to especially other investors are using real estate as well. So when you have a house and you want to just flip it using the flip it fast method, I mean, you can post it on Craigslist and find another investor to partner up with you. So it's really great for that. I think it was last week or the week before, Chuck, one of the coaches, Chuck Chafin, he did his presentation, and that's what he used to sell his first property through the Flip It Fast program, was posting something on Craigslist. So, and I would say a good majority of the people, their first deal, they sell it through Craigslist. So don't be scared about these rules and all this kind of stuff. It's always changing. They always try to get savvy to what people are trying to do. But that's just why you want to be a little bit cautious and use different email addresses and contact information and things like that. All right, so let's talk about the types of strategies for Craigslist. So again, if you're just new and you want to get a quick sale, or if you have a property that you're just having a hard time selling and you want to like not spend a whole lot of money on it, maybe, then do this quick sale method, which is basically you create a listing and you post all the details of your property on it, as much as you can, and including owner financing if you're providing that. Excuse me, and what it costs and everything. I mean, like your extended listing, you want to have it all in there. One, because you want to have all the details for the people to read. But two, you want enough content on there to get it indexed for their search engine. So when they start searching around, they're going to be typing in keywords into Craigslist, looking for real estate under the real estate category, and you want to be coming up there, number one. So the more content you have and the more keyword rich, key phrase rich content you have, your listings are going to come up. So if you're using this method, you want to have as much content as possible on there, a lot of keywords. You want to have your call to action. So again, this is just all about the quick sale. So on your listing there, you want to have your phone number, your email, tell them to call you, text you, whatever you want them to do, email you, and that's primarily what you want to do. You don't want to put a link necessarily in there in this method. And then you want to post that listing in the general region. Like I said, if in the case of like Sedona, which is an hour away from Phoenix, you want to find the closest region to that. So if it's Flagstaff is closer, then put it in Flagstaff. Or you could try putting it in Phoenix, but what you want to do is reference the area that it's that it's in, so that it's categorized in your description. And you want to use that a lot, because some of the tools that Craigslist is using now is searching for keywords and things like that throughout your listing to see if everything matches. So if you were to post it in Phoenix, mention in your ad something like, and there's an example there, this property is located 1 hour from Phoenix, Arizona. Just by putting that in there, you're giving yourself a better chance of not getting flagged by their systems and stuff that they're roaming around with. And then once you do, now this quick sale method, like I said, most people, new students and stuff, they use this to sell their property, their first few properties. A lot of times on Craigslist for cash. But again, I would put both cash or terms, on there and see what happens. But I wouldn't say not your high-end property. So like if you're dealing with land, not your $20,000-$30,000 lots, but your $10,000 lots or less, you get a lot of traffic on those. Okay, so the second strategy is more advanced, and this is like if you have already done a few deals, it's not so urgent for you to just sell a property, and you want to instead build like long-term, like a long-term growth for your company and make this into a business. And what you want to do there, like Jack always teaches, is build yourself a buyer's list, which is a list of people that are interested in what you have to offer. So if it's land that you offer, then a list of people that are interested in land. If it's houses, then a list of people that are interested in buying houses. If it's If you're looking for investors, then a list of investors that are cash buyers, um, or house flippers or things like that. So whatever your buyers are, you want to make a list of that. Um, so in this case, you want to have a listing that has kind of like an overview, like very few details about the property, enough to get them interested in the deal, in the property and whatnot. But your main purpose is to then get them to go somewhere else to opt in or do something else. So you want to get their interest with some details, and then you can do, like, for more information, you can do it like go to this website. Now this website, this link can't be a hyperlink, like we said before. They block that now. But what you can do is, if you make it a very easy to type in link, and you actually are very clear in the ad, like, hey, go and type this in and go to this site, and make it like, a short domain that's not a long one, and it doesn't have a lot of forward slashes or anything like that, then what you can do is you can overlay that with text, like with a graphical program like Paint or something. You can overlay that on to a few of your pictures that you upload. So that's one way to do it, and that typically, gets past the Craigslist filters there. So when they're reviewing the pictures, almost everybody does. They're going to see on every single picture, go to this site for more details. And it has your listing. Now, the drawback to this is that a lot of people are lazy and they like to click, but they don't like to type in stuff. So you're going to lose some people there. But once you get them to your site, you can opt them in to a form that's got, collects their name and email address and all that kind of stuff. And so from then on, you're starting to build your buyers list like you should be doing. The other strategy is, because Craigslist allows you to put a phone number there, and they don't really care about that. That's kind of standard. To use some kind of a software like callloop.com, which it's an autoresponder for phone calls. So instead of like an email responder that sends out, a preset number of emails, like an email newsletter, you can do the same thing with calls. Now, there's a lot of rules and regulations that go into putting people on a call list, so you got to be aware of that. If you go to callloop.com, you can get all the information on that. That's like a separate company. They'll let you know what the requirements are, but they do have the ability to subscribe people based on them calling you or texting you. So you can, as long as you make them aware that they're being subscribed, and I think they have to opt in somehow through their system, then what you can do is you can put that number that they give you on your listings, and then start building up your buyers list on there. So again, you want to follow all the rules there, because there's a lot of laws that go into privacy laws, surrounding phone companies and things, or phone lists. But Call Loop, since that's what they do, they'll let you know how that works. The reason why you really can't do that with the email address a lot of times is because Craigslist will mask the email address with some parameters, and so you can't do that same concept you do with the phone number with the email address. Or at least I haven't figured that out yet. But you can do it with phone calls, and you can do a combination of both. So you can mention on your images the overlay of the text and all that kind of stuff, and then you can also do a phone number that gets them into a buyer's list. But what that does at the end of the day is, now you have a list of phone numbers or emails or both, of people that are targeted, that have, well, one, they're targeted because they opted in, so they like the property that you were showing, so they're interested in your types of properties. And number two, they opted in to get more information about the property and others. So now, even if they don't buy the property that you're promoting right now, they later on, you can either send out a call blast, if you just have phone numbers, through this Call Loop software, saying, hey, I got another property, here's the address, go take a look at it. or if you have their email address, you can set out an email blast letting them know you've got another property. So they may not buy right away, but they're going to probably buy down the road. And that's the whole beauty of, and the power of these buyers lists, is that you've got, a list of people that have expressed interest in you and what you have to offer, and you have the ability to contact them in a mass way, so that when you have a property, you just shoot it out to them and you sell it. So that's kind of like the more advanced way to go, and that's how you would use Craigslist currently. Now, again, Craigslist changes all the time, so this strategy may change, but while it works, you can use it, and then when it doesn't work, just kind of keep your mind open to things like that, creative ways you can use that great marketplace, which is Craigslist, and a bunch of people searching for real estate, and how to get them from Craigslist to your site and to your buyers list without causing too much trouble. So just kind of be thinking about ways like that. And so yeah, in the case of the overlay, technically it's in violation because you're trying to direct people away from Craigslist. But again, it's not a clickable link, so they're not going to catch it right away. The only time they're going to ever catch that is if somebody flags you, or if somebody or if one of their employees go on there and they see it, and then they'll know that you violated. But that's the only way. So, and typically you can still, there's nobody roaming around doing that, but a lot of their quality assurance is done through scripts and things like that. So your main concern, I guess, would be just people seeing that and flagging you if they didn't like it. But again, if you make the ad very friendly and appealing and not too salesy or whatever, then there should be no reason that you get flagged anyways. I want to talk about how to make it searchable and browsable. Those are it's made up word, but basically how can people find you on Craigslist? Because sometimes we'll get some questions like, okay, I put my property on Craigslist, I got a few calls, but then nothing, and that might not be a case of your ads being ghosted. It might just be a case of it not being seen, or it didn't get indexed properly. So what you want to do is, like I mentioned before, you want to use a lot of keywords, phrases that people actually search for in Craigslist. So you have to kind of put your mind. Unfortunately, Craigslist doesn't have a tool like Google AdWords does that tells you what people are searching for. So you kind of have to be creative and think about it for a second. But if you were to go, on Craigslist to look for what you have to offer, what would you be typing in? Like if it was a car, what are the actual phrases are you going to be typing in to find that car? Or if it's a piece of real estate, what are you typing in? If it's a house, are you typing in 4-bedroom, 4-bath house, or are you typing in 4B / 4B house? So it does matter how it's worded. And going back to what I said before, having a lot of content on your listings is good because it allows you to play around with it. So you can write things, the same things differently. So you could write it as 4-bedroom, or you could write it out as 4-bed, 2-bath, or you know what I mean? Or you could write it out as 4B, 2B if you wanted to. And so you kind of cover everything that people might type in there in one ad, and therefore you're more likely for your listing to come up when they start typing this in. A lot of people don't pay enough attention to that, and they just throw up an ad that has the details of their property, but they're not thinking about what people might type in, and that people, are sometimes they're searching on their phone, they're sometimes searching, they're not spelling it right, they're writing things in slang. They type out all kinds of things, and so you have to kind of account for that on your end and make sure your ad comes up. So you want to also put it in the right categories. That helps with people when they just browse. A lot of people just go to the categories that they're interested in and browse. So for instance, if it's real estate, then you want to be putting it under real estate and then real estate by owner. and also in the area that it's in. So make sure you're categorizing it correctly because that also helps you out, as well as it being the proper way to do it. And the next thing is you want to upload at least one image to your listing. Now, right now, like I said before, they don't allow you to post or embed any images in their listings now. But you can still upload your images. And if it's a property, then you want to upload whatever images you have on that. And the reason why you want to have at least one, even if you don't have any of the property, and that's why I have that in there, even if it's generic. So, like, let's say you just bought a property and you don't have anything on it. You haven't done the research. You haven't you don't even have a satellite image of it, which you should have because that's an easy screenshot. But let's say you don't, then I would still upload a generic image or like your logo or like a picture of a property, because when people search in Craigslist, a lot of times there's an option to it's like a checkbox that says has image only, and a lot of people check that. So, and basically what it does is it excludes everybody's listing that doesn't have any images. So you want at least one, because you don't want to be passed up because you didn't have any images. And that's the main reason. The other reason is, of course, you want to show the person what the property looks like and things like that. So this is a big one that the people that use Craigslist quite a bit know, but a lot of new people that are just new to like marketing stuff on the internet and selling stuff, this one not a lot of people are aware of. And this is Craigslist works such that it's almost like a feed. It's as people post their properties, they get posted at the top. So almost like kind of like a feed for a blog. The newest post is always at the top, and therefore as the post gets older and older, it moves down to the bottom of the page, and then as it gets to the bottom of the page, it moves to the second page, and so on and so on. So and that's a matter of the number of people posting in that particular category. So let's say that you have a property in Phoenix, a big city. It's in real estate, which is a pretty popular category. I mean, you're in a big metropolitan area, and it's real estate is a pretty big category anyway. So if you post something on Phoenix for sale by owner real estate, then chances are you post it, you're on the top of the list, but by an hour later, a couple hours later, you're all the way on the second page now, because there's been that many people posting listings in that area. So you want to make sure that you're always at the top, because a lot of people, when they're searching and browsing Craigslist, they never go to the second page. So I mean, your chances of getting people on the second page are very slim, because there's a very, very small percentage of people that actually are going to that second and third page. So most people are just lazy. They just don't want to move around. They rather go into another category than click another page. So just be aware of that. And also, like in that example, so in Phoenix, you might go to the end of the page and onto the next page in a matter of a couple hours. But let's say that you posted in a more rural county, like or area, like let's say Flagstaff, a smaller city in Arizona. In that one, it might not move down that fast. It might be the next day that it moves down. So what you want to do is, when you first post your listing, just kind of monitor it throughout the day and see where your ad ends up when you do different searches. And you can also do it that way manually by looking to see where it is. And then once you get an idea of like, okay, in this area, I need to repost it, every 5 hours, and in this area, I need to post it every 2 days. You'll get a feeling for it. You can either do it that way, or what you can do is just monitor the amount of either traffic, if you're driving them somewhere else, or opt-ins, or the amount of questions you get from people if you're just doing that quick sale method. And that'll just let you know if your ads are getting dropped off, and therefore you're getting less and less responses. So yeah, just monitor that, and then they have an option in Craigslist in the admin section that has you gives you the ability to relist your post. You don't want to do that. You actually want to just delete it, especially if it's one of these situations where you're going to be renewing it in 5 hours or the next day. You want to completely delete it and then repost it. So keep all your content of your ad in like a separate file, like a Word document or a text document, and then just use that when you delete your post. Just set it up using copy and paste it from your Word document or your text document. So that's the way to do it, to always stay on that first page and get and really maximize your listing. Now that we kind of covered eBay, let's or Craigslist, let's talk about eBay. And again, I want to just kind of overview this because I'll give you the link to the call that I did, I think it was a month ago or so, and you can go look it up there. All the details about eBay. I went into it in more detail. So, but just kind of to overview with eBay, it's another strategy that you can use to sell a property quickly. They have 3 types of listings with eBay. You can do the auction listing, which is kind of what everybody's heard of, where you're using eBay as really what it was intended to be used for, which is a 1, 3, 5, 7, 10, or 30-day auction. And so you post your property up there, and then people have, 1, 3, 5, 7, 10, 30 days to place bids, and then the highest bid wins. Basically, how that works. Now, you can actually I want to say here, I forgot to add it to the slide, but you can actually do 2 types of auctions within this. You can have one that's has a reserve on it, meaning like nobody can buy it for less than a certain amount. So let's say that you want to make at least $1,000 on your property, then you can set the reserve at $1,000, but your minimum bid could be like $100. And every time somebody bids, 200, 300, 400, they're going to get a message that says the reserve hasn't been met yet. So that's one way to do it. We don't recommend using a reserve because it kind of turns people off, and kind of defeats the whole purpose of the whole auction fever type frenzy thing. Having said that, when you run these auctions, you'll notice that you're going to get most of your bids at the very end, like almost the last hour that you have it available is when you're going to see a lot of the bids coming through. The second type of listing you can do on eBay is a fixed price listing. That's kind of almost like a regular like store item. Like you just put a listing up, and you just say, this property costs $10,000, buy it now, and or this property costs $2,000, put the $2,000 down now, and then carry this note. But it's a fixed price. Nobody's bidding it up or up from a starting point, basically. The third type of auction or listing you can do is an eBay classified listing, and I actually like that one the best. You can either do a 30-day or a 90-day, and we'll talk about that a little bit more here. But I like that one a lot, and for a lot of different reasons, and we'll go in that. I think I have a slide for that. So the cost, eBay is not free. It costs some money, and the cost of the real estate category is about $35 for currently. They change this too sometimes. So it's currently $35 if you do a 1, 3, 5, 7, or 10-day auction. It's about $50 for the 30-day auction, and that's either the auction or the fixed price. If you run the 30-day classified ad, it's going to cost you $150 in that category. And if you run the 90-day classified ad, it's going to cost you $300. Now, and these kind of sound like a lot, but again, if you're dealing with real estate, these are not high amounts of money to be spending, because you're selling a few $1,000. If it's land, you're making at least a few $1,000. Or if it's a house, you're making much more. So again, here's the link to the replay, and that's kind of a long link there. Forevercash.com, 2014-01-22, and it's selling land eBay. I'm not sure why I was named that because I don't know what that date means, but that's the link to the replay that has all the details for the eBay call that I did. You can also, an easier way to find it is just log into the Forever Cash site and as a gold member there, and then go to the gold member club tab, and then you want to click on the call replays and just search for the one that says selling land on eBay, and you can pull that up. All right, so within those three types of listings, we use three different kinds of templates on eBay. So, and again, this is covered. I covered this quite a bit in the other presentation. So, on how to actually write these templates out and what exactly we put in them. But just as a basic overview, the three types of templates that we use are: number one, you have a listing where you're saying to the people you're bidding on the full purchase price. So whenever they're putting in a bid for, $500, $600, $700, $1,000, $2,000, that whatever the highest bid there is going to be what the cost of the property is. Now you may add like a documentation fee or like a closing fee to it, but recording fee or so, or processing fee, and whatever you want to call it, to it, so that when they buy it, they also pay for the administrative cost of transferring the deeds and stuff. We always do that ourselves. But at the end of the day, whatever their high bid is going to be what they pay for the property. So that's the first way we do it. And the second way we do it is, let's say we have a property that we purchased that had a lot of back taxes on it, but we paid very little up front for it. And it's not very close to the auction. So it's a scenario that in land, I'll give you an example. Let's say you buy a property from somebody. You only actually pay them $300 for the property, but you assume like $5,000 in back taxes. But it's worth 20 or so. You can run one of these types of ads where, they're bidding on the full purchase price, or they're bidding on a purchase price, but it's also, in addition to that, they're covering that $5,000 in back taxes that you haven't paid yet. So in this listing, you're telling them there's $5,000 worth of back taxes that you're going to assume. So whatever we end up at with the purchase price, then you're going to also assume that. But since you already only paid $300 in that case, and you start the bidding off at let's say $100, then chances are you're going to end up at a couple thousand maybe, or let's say you even end up at 2,000. They would pay the 2,000 to you, plus they would assume the 5,000. So again, for a property that out of pocket you only paid $300 for, you now got $2,000 for, and then you passed along the back taxes to somebody. So these are good for those type of deals. Land mainly, and then the third type of template that we use is you're bidding on the down payment only, and therefore you assume a built-in, that's a typo there, but you assume a built-in loan amount. So let's say that, and this is a way to protect yourself basically from getting to the end of the auction and finding out that the highest bid is $2,000 when your property is worth 20. If you wanna mitigate that because you have more into that property than $2,000, then what you can do is this type of scenario where you add a built-in loan for say $15,000, and then whatever the bidding stops at, that's just going to be the down payment. So like if they bid it up to $2,000, that they have to pay you $2,000 down, but then they're going to assume the built-in loan that's $15,000. Now if you refer back to this call I did about the eBay selling, and I talked about the templates, everything is spelled out in detail, like several times in there. So you want to make sure you're very clear when it comes to that, because I think most people expect that they're bidding on the full purchase price. So right at the very top, all these listings and stuff in the titles and stuff, we're saying you're bidding on the down payment. You're bidding on the down payment only. You assume the built-in loan. So this is definitely something that you don't want to skimp on explaining, because you want to make sure that the person bidding on it understands fully that it comes with a built-in loan, and not just that it comes with a built-in loan, but what are the terms of the loan. So what's the interest rate, what's their monthly payment, and how long is the loan, and all that kind of stuff is going to be in there. Um, Make sure you're very transparent there, and that's not only because it's the right thing to do, but it's also it's going to save you from people canceling the sale, because almost every state has a right of rescission on any contracts. So you don't want people canceling out on you just because they don't understand your listing. But again, go back to the replays and watch that if you haven't had a chance to watch that other presentation. So here's some general tips. We usually do the 7 or 10 day listings if we do the auction. And we make sure, one really important thing that we always make sure is that it ends at a convenient time. And typically like a high traffic time too for eBay. So typically that's 6 p.m. Eastern is what eBay recommends. And 10 p.m. on weekends, that's kind of like their high traffic time where people are looking at it. But basically it means that when you go to set up your auction, you have the option to just make it live right then and there and publish it. But let's say that you are a night owl and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. If you publish it right then and there, it's going to actually end at 1 o'clock in the morning 7 days from now. We do a 7-day listing. So obviously nobody's going to be up around that time. So what you want to do instead is put it on one of these times, schedule it, and they have an option you have to check to schedule it out to make sure that it ends at a particular time. And that's what you definitely want to do, because that way you can actually create your listings at any time you want, even if it's 1 o'clock in the morning, but it actually gets published at a reasonable hour and it ends at a reasonable hour. And that's going to maximize the amount of bids that you're going to get. Because like I said before, the majority of your bids are going to come in at the last minute anyways. You want to expect to relist your auction 3 times. So if we go back to the cost of it, and like the average auction is $35 unless you do the 30-day, which we don't really do anyways. But let's say it's $35. So expect to spend $100 or so to sell a property. And the reason is because eBay, there's just people that will tell you, I made a mistake, my child bid for me or whatever, and obviously if it's a mistake, then it's like you can't really enforce anything, and they have the right of rescission anyways to back out. But we on average will have to list it 3 times before we get an actual person to follow through. So, which is not bad. It's just you just got to be aware of it and account for it. Still, selling a property that's you're making at least a few $1,000s on for $100 is not a big deal. So, so just keep that in mind. Don't be discouraged if your first auction comes back and it's just the person doesn't follow through. Just keep going with it, because that's kind of our average on that. The other thing is, with eBay, you can embed images in your listing, and I'm going to show you how to do that here. But you can also upload images, and you want to do both. The reason you want to upload some pictures is because when you eBay looks more like Pinterest nowadays, and there's a lot of photo type formats. And so if you don't upload your pictures to eBay, then you're not going to get that your ads are not going to stand out. So you definitely want to upload some, but you also want to have images embedded in your eBay listing itself. And a lot of people don't do that, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So here's how you would embed content. This is like an example part of, this is just a portion of the page of when you're setting up an auction. But you come to this section here where you're entering in your details. Now, most people kind of treat this area like Craigslist, and they just type in stuff and just text, and they might use some of the options that eBay gives you. You can see there at the top, eBay allows you to put links in there, so that's cool. You can also put bullet points and then change the color, text, and stuff like that, but and the font size. But other than that, it doesn't give you any options right there to add an image or a video. At the same time, they don't necessarily care if you do that or not. So you definitely do want to add your images in this section. And most people don't. So what you want to do is click this HTML tab. And then it's going to look a little scary, because if you've typed something in already like that, it's going to look something like this. It's going to be a bunch of gibberish. If I go back to this screen here, you can actually, with all the formatting and text and everything, you can actually do all that in Word, you know, and like Microsoft Word and stuff, and then copy and paste it from Word into this window, and it's going to look pretty much like it. But when you hit the HTML tab, it's going to look something like this. Now, you don't need to freak out about the code or anything, or even understand it, but you will notice some things. For instance, if you look at the bottom of that code, it says 016 acre residential, and then if I go back to the screen, I can see 016 acre residential. So we know kind of where we're at in the code, generally speaking. You know, if you can kind of filter out all the gibberish, you can see the actual text that you had on the preview. So knowing that, wherever you want to put in the images, I'm going to show you how to easily set up that code. And then you're going to paste it in the area that you want to in the code, if that makes sense. So like if you want it right below this section where it says Kern County, California, then right after it says all that gibberish like span div, you're going to paste in your code for your video or your image. And then when you come back to the screen, you're going to see it. So, you know, people that know HTML, this is going to be very basic, but people that are not familiar with this at all, I'm just trying to explain it the best possible way I can. So, you just want to find the reference point. That's number one. And then once you got that, I'm going to show you how to generate that tag that you need, because it's not something that eBay does for you. It's just something that they allow. So you want to take advantage of it. But here's how you do it. So here's how you embed pictures, and then I'm going to show you how to do a video here also. So you want to host your images. They have to be hosted online. And if you're familiar with websites and things like that, and you have like a WordPress site or a website, then you're familiar with uploading pictures to that. You know, like if you have a WordPress site, you should know how to upload pictures to it under the media category. So you can do it that way. You just upload it to your website, and therefore the images that you're going to be using are online. That's one way to do it. The easier way to do it, if you don't know anything what I just said, or you're kind of lost at this point, is just to go to one of these websites. So Google offers a free image sharing site, which is called Picasa Web. And then there's PhotoBucket. There's a bunch of others. If you just Google sharing sites, they're all free, pretty much, for the basic accounts. And so I'm going to show you these two because they're the most popular. But for instance, if you go to Picasa Web, and there is a difference between Picasa.google.com and Picasa Web. So you want to go to the web part up there at the top, picasaweb.google.com. Set up an account. If you already have a Gmail account, then you just log in there. And then what you got is you upload your photos. So it just allows you to upload them. You can see that at the top there it says upload. You click on that button, you upload it. Now, in this example, there's a picture of this galaxy or whatever. That, if I wanted to put that in my eBay ad, I would just go over to the right-hand side, and right here where I just highlighted it, where it says embed image, you want to copy out that code. And that is where you want to come back to your HTML and just put that in your listing there. Just paste it in there, copy and paste it from that Picasa Web portal over to your HTML ad where you want that to show up, and it's going to magically appear. The next one is PhotoBucket. PhotoBucket is the same thing. It's the same type of sharing site. You can see at the top it says upload, so you just upload your picture, and then when you upload your picture, in this case a little kitten, if you want to put that kitten on your eBay ad, then here they call it HTML. So under this section here, you just copy that out, and then you paste that into your eBay ad, and you're going to see the little kitten on your eBay ad. All right, so that's the way to do it, and then here's how you do a video. It's pretty much the same process, but a little bit more to it, so there's a different tool. So the first thing you want to do is you want to take your video that's sitting on your computer and upload it to YouTube. So create a YouTube account if you don't have one. That's very easy. I'm not going to show you how to do that, but basically once you have an account, you just hit upload and let it upload. And once you upload that, you're going to get a URL of that YouTube video, and I'll show you an example of that. So don't, if you're kind of lost right here, stay with me for a second. So you're going to copy that URL from YouTube, and then I set this redirect up before the call, which is www.jackbosch.com /embed-video, and that's just a redirect. It redirects you to a tool, a generator, a embed code generator, and that's the easiest way I can explain it, because I don't want to have you guys learn HTML or anything. So just go to that website, jackbosch.com /embed-video, and then it's going to generate you a code that you can put into your listing. So let me show you what I mean. Here is our YouTube, and you can see here at the top there is the YouTube URL. So this is a video of ours, and then at the very top there's a URL going to that specific video. So copy that part out. So just, right click, copy it, and then you want to go to this URL, which is this tool, jackbosch.com /embed-video, and then you want to paste it right here in this window, and then choose your size for it. In this case, I did 800 by 600. That's kind of like a standard, just kind of give you an idea of what that is. An iPad screen is basically that, and then you want to uncheck the show related videos. What that does is, at the end of normally at the end of a YouTube video, it shows you related videos on YouTube. You definitely don't want that showing up on your listings, because typically if you have a real estate video, then when you get to the end of it, it's going to show other real estate videos of other listings. So obviously you don't want to give free marketing to your competitors, right? On the ad that you're paying for. So uncheck that, make sure that they don't appear, and then you want to have the controls so they can rewind it if they want to, or stop it, pause it, or whatever. And then uncheck the search option as well, and then hit generate code. So it's simple as that. I mean, just go through this tool, and you can even choose what player. Oh, that's the other thing here. I didn't highlight it, but if you see under player version right above generate code, you want to use the old player option. It's just better for eBay. And then it's going to generate, when you hit generate code, it's going to create something like this. So go ahead and copy that code, that gibberish there, and then go back. If I go back all the way over here, go back to your HTML tab and then paste it in there. And then once you go back to your standard tab, it's going to appear. All right, so pretty simple. Just remember that link right there, jackbosch.com /embed-video, because the real link is quite long. Let's see here. Let me go forward. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about eBay is just the classified listing. Again, I talked about that quite a bit in the other presentation, so go back and watch that. But basically, it's $150 to $300. We always do the 90 days. What this allows you to do is you can embed things like opt-in forms. It gives you more flexibility with the HTML, so you can actually almost treat it like just like a lead magnet, almost like you would if you were running an ad on LandWatch. It's very good. Even though it costs $300 up front, we get very good numbers on it, so I do recommend it. And it gets ranked on eBay just like any other listing, but it's for 90 days. So when somebody's searching for real estate on eBay, your ad is going to be coming up, and then from there you can have them opt in right on the ad. So it's very cool. We like that a lot. Also, you can I mean, you can actively drive people from eBay to your website. They don't care. These classified ads are very like you have a lot of freedom. They don't restrict a whole lot of things, which is great, and you still get that targeted audience. And it's cheap, even though it's $300. So it sounds expensive. When you break it down for the amount of traffic that you're going to get from that, and if you use good keywords in your ad and all this kind of stuff, you're gonna see that it's very cheap in compared to other forms of traffic like Landwatch and things like that. Let's see. Yeah, go back to the previous presentation, the replay for that, if you want more information, because I do show even a screenshot of the eBay classified ad that we currently run, which we get pretty good numbers on. So if you haven't watched that, go back and take a look at that. All right, so here's a brief summary. We talked about the recent changes and the restrictions with Craigslist, what happens when you break a rule, so you kind of know what you're dealing with there. And then, two different ways you can do Craigslist ads, trying to get that quick sale or trying to build your buyers list. Keeping your, how to keep your listing searchable and indexed in Craigslist. We talked about 3 types of listing options on eBay. The cost of of posting stuff on eBay, and the types of real estate listings, the 3 types of listing templates, I should say, that we use when we're dealing with real estate. And then we talked about the difference between uploading the images and embedding them, and really why you need both of them, or why you should be using both methods at the same time when you're using these eBay ads, so that you maximize what the time that you have on eBay. And then how to embed the images and the videos easily. So I hope that was pretty easy the way I explained the images and the videos, because that is something that's very important. But if you had a hard time following that part, just go back to the replay once we post it and take a look at that part again and go to that link that I set up. But the biggest takeaway, I think, is to try to get out of this is if you haven't done that first deal yet, and you're just maybe you have a property under contract, really I would put Craigslist as one of the first things that you do. So I mean, the neighbors letters works very well, but Craigslist works extremely well when you're selling land and when you're selling houses and partnering up with people. So I really like Craigslist. If you do eBay, consider the built-in loan strategy, or the if you have the one with the back taxes, consider the one with basically assigning over the back taxes to the end buyer, so that you can maximize your profits in the auction type scenario. But I really like in eBay, I really like the classified way to go. If I was going to run an ad, I'd rather go spend $300 on the classified ad, because it helps you build that buyer's list. And that's all I had for today. And actually, I thought I was going to be quicker than that, but we're an hour right now. So just again, I wanted to remind you about the seminar tickets if you haven't registered. And I do have a couple minutes if people are still online and have some questions. Let me take a look and see if we have any while we're still on here. Okay, so one question from Trish was, what is the difference between the uploaded and the embedded photos? And the difference is the uploaded photos are uploaded to eBay through their tool. So when you're actually setting up the listing in eBay, you're uploading it using their tool. And because you're using their tool and you're not hosting it on PhotoBucket or Picasa or your website, they use that photo in the advertising or in the marketing of your listing on eBay. So if you don't upload an image there, then you're missing out on that marketing that they're going to do on your behalf. And that's the difference. Now, the reason why you also want to embed stuff is you can add more pictures. You can add different types of pictures, bigger pictures, smaller pictures, videos. You can't do that normally on eBay. So that's really the difference between uploading them and embedding them. is you have more flexibility in the embed. It also makes your ad part of your listing a little bit more user friendly and nice to scroll down and see, because you can in eBay, just like other types of programs, they format the pictures how they want it to be formatted. And currently, it's such that they have like a feature image, and then you kind of scroll through a bunch of images. But again, people are lazy, so people would rather just scroll through the page than to click on little thumbnails of images. It sounds crazy, but yeah, I mean, people are that lazy. So they don't want to be clicking thumbnails to load your images. They want to just scroll down on the pages. So just making it easier for people to consume is the reason why you want to have both. So I hope that answers your question, Trish. And let's see here. Let's see. I think it's Bob. I'm trying to get my screen that has my questions a little bit bigger. Here we go. Okay, yeah. Bob is asking, how would you post a 40 to 20, 20, or 10 acre parcel in Coconino County? What city in Craigslist or state? So I would definitely, or if it multiple postings on Craigslist, which one? Thank you. All right, so if you have a Coconino County property, what I would do is I would post it. It's probably close to Flagstaff, I would assume, or somewhere near there. And again, Craigslist, I don't know on the top of my head, but I think their categories for Arizona are Phoenix, Flagstaff, Tucson, and I think maybe Kingman. So the closest one is going to be the Flagstaff one, in my opinion. So you either go with, if it's more like Coconino County, like south of Flagstaff, then you might get away with posting it in Phoenix and just mentioning that it's a 2.5 hour drive from Phoenix. That might be one way to go. Or just post it in Flagstaff and just say this property is 20 minutes outside of Flagstaff or wherever it may be. Make sure you have those keywords in there. So hopefully that answers your question, Bob. I just am going through some comments here. Let's see. Oh, Bob was saying that I was cutting in and out, so I'm not sure if that's still the case, but if it is, just go back to the recording. The recording should come out just fine. Okay, so Sherry asks, why can't I just put up an ad that says I'm looking for investors? So I assume, Sherry, that you're selling a house through the kind of like flip it fast technique, and that's exactly what you want to do. In that case, where you have a house under contract and you're looking to flip it to a cash buyer, you want to run an ad that's for that type of a person, for an investor, saying that, hey, I'm looking for investors to partner up with, or I'm looking for rehabbers because I have houses that I can, that need to be rehabbed or something like that, and we'll sell at a discount or we'll partner up. You want to post that type of an ad for those people, and then just put your phone number or your email address and collect a list of those people, investors that contact you back. And there's some more comments. Some people had to drop off the line, but they're going to listen to the replay. Trish asked what was the date of the eBay call. That's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head. I think it was November. The end of November is what I thought it was. So you'll see it because it's called selling on eBay. If you go to the Forever Cash site and just log in and then just go to the gold calls, you'll see it in there because there'll be a list of all the replays, and the one that says how to sell on eBay, it should be on that first page. So I would go about looking for it that way. See if I have any more. So Fred asks, on Craigslist, by deleting and reposting, will you get tagged or for overposting? Let's say if I do this 1 or 2 times per day. So yeah, I suppose you mean flagged by users. Um, no, I mean we do it all the time, so we haven't had that problem. So no, you should be totally fine with what I just explained. Again, Craigslist is changing all the time, so I can't speak for next month or next week or whatever. They might change that, but currently we have no problems with that. You don't get flagged for deleting and reposting. So Sam is asking to see the URL for the eBay training. Oh, okay. Let me go back here. Here you go. This is the URL. And I think what it is, I think there's a typo in it. I mean, this is the URL, but how it says 2014-01, that's supposed to be 11. I think it was November 22nd, kind of going back to a previous question there. I think it happened on November 22nd, but it is listed under 2014-01 22. So hope that answers your question there. Sherry's asking if you can use, if you could just take a look at a Google Maps of the state and see what the nearest city is. Oh yeah, I think that's a suggestion for Bob. So the previous question of where should you be, putting your ad, what's the closest city? Yeah, of course, you can just look at a map of the state and just look to see, go on Craigslist, click on your state, and then see what are the areas Craigslist already has for that state, and then look on a map to see which is the closest one. So that's a good suggestion. Let's see here. Ron is asking, how can I record a webinar like this? You can use a software like Camtasia. I think there's like getcamtasia.com, and or you can Google that, and that's what we use to record stuff like that. All right, and I think that's the last question. So if there's no more questions, I hope you guys learned something from this call today. And again, if there was any audio issues or anything like that, just feel free to go back to the replay, and we'll have this posted later on tonight or so, and or tomorrow, and we can go from there. All right, and also just to go back to the first slide, if you have any other questions, go to jackboschsupport.com and enter in your support questions there. And a lot of times, it's either it's us in the office that check that. So I'm on there every day checking those questions. So if you have a question for me, you can even address it to me, and I will see that. So jackboschsupport.com, forevercashsupport.com, we can answer your questions there. All right, I hope everybody enjoyed the call today. I will talk to you later. Bye.